Alright guys, we are going to be getting into our finals, the best of three, Elite Crew versus Nomad Gaming, with Elite over on the blue side, Nomad Gaming over on the purple side.
Yes, this is Nomad Gaming actually returning from their championship last week. They did take week 6 of this tournament. Returning champions looking for a 2-week-in-a-row win.
Yeah, we could be seeing them as our champions again for 2 weeks in a row, but it's still too early to decide. So, by the way, we do have the Vayne ban coming out from Elite Crew, with the response of Orianna coming out from Nomad. So, Vayne, very popular AD carry pick. Orianna, just that really hard initiation. We saw how strong Elite Crew managed to play that Orianna earlier today. So, going to be taking that one away from them. Jarvan being banned out. And now, Vladimir. Nomad Gaming banning out Ganbei's Vladimir. He was just a split pushing monster, able to pretty much 3v1 at certain points and survive, and even sometimes manage to escape, just because of how tanky and how much damage he was doing. And then
it's not just the Vladimir pick that won them that game. Ganbei, just as a player, plays a split push, and he has done so far in this tournament. Corki actually being banned away just from JW, and we've seen him twice on it, just dominating in matchups he shouldn't have won. And part of it is just due to the fact that he takes Ignite and he just plays so aggressively with his support. They just dominate 2v2 all game. It's and it's just really something that Nomad doesn't want to deal with at this point.
JWN actually logging in Graves, so we can kind of see what kind of playstyle JWN likes to play. He really likes his kind of burst damage, kind of in your face, early game kind of oriented AD carries. Graves really notorious for kind of being a little bit of a risky pick. You can just kind of dive into the enemy, use your buckshot damage, and do huge damage. Really hard to trade back if you can land that properly. So really going to go for this kind of burst damagey pick. Twisted Fate was left open though, so Fad immediately picking that one up for his team.
Yeah, and that's part of what just won Nomad Gaming in that last game. Now, what I'm really interested in seeing is what Ganbei picks for his split pusher this time. We know it's what he likes to do, and I wouldn't be surprised at all to see him trying that again this game. Now, Lulu being locked in, or about to be locked in with the Twisted Fate. See where that goes. And sponsor tank, please. We've seen you on the Lulu before. We've seen him on the Lulu before. We know he can do it, and yes, it is locked in. Now, again, going back to Ganbei, Vlad and Timo were the two we actually saw on stream that he used for just being a total split pushing beast all game, pushing down to the inhibitor turret. Both times we've seen him split pushing like that, just 1v1, dominating his lane from range, and then pushing into and just destroying, or distracting rather, the rest of the teams they've been against. And I believe, for a second there I thought Nomad Gaming was actually when they played it against, but no, they haven't fought against each other so far this series. And really, it's a lot of that split pushing that's just alone has won the game for Elite Crew so far in this tournament. They're able to get Ganbei just so fed in the 1v1. And really, it's not even just them getting him fed. They throw so much at him in the early game, and it doesn't even shut him down. Tarek actually locked in here with the Graves. That'll be an interesting combo in the bot lane, and Hecarim locked in potentially for the jungle.
And Ganbei locking that in, most likely going to end up in the jungle. I guess deciding he's not really sure what he wants to play just yet. Twitch coming out as a response though for the AD carry for Nomad Gaming, with Kha'Zix being hovered over here. So we have seen Squishy on that Kha'Zix. Pretty strong player on it, able to really dart in and out of the combat, doing his job fairly well. But what I'm curious about now, okay, no, he's just switching over to the Shen, locks that in. So no, he is going to be going with that Shen. Going to be trying to combat what he knows Ganbei is going to be doing. Ganbei is going to be split pushing, and who's just as good as split pushing? Shen. He can come back into lane and split push back, and then even get back to his team faster than any other champion really can, and still be of more use with the Stand United shield.
And there was the Tryndamere hover for a second. Now it's just more swapping back. What Ganbei is looking for is just someone who can duel, who has just a lot of dueling potential and split pushing potential. I'm not really going to take any of these picks too seriously until they're locked in, even with Soraka and Sona being hovered over there. The Syndra actually being sat on, that's not being changed there for Final Hunt. We haven't seen really anyone on Syndra so far in this tournament, I believe, and from my just what we've seen of Final Hunt so far, it actually kind of fits his playstyle. He likes just like that 1v1 burst potential, and we've seen it from his champion picks so far. The Rise, nope, Tryndamere.
Maybe. So yeah, we do see the Syndra and the Tryndamere pick. Really, these are picks we haven't seen come out in this tournament. These two picks right here. Syndra is one of those kind of champions that's a really strong lane bully. Doesn't technically actually have a proper lane counter. There's a lot of safety with her range, insane burst damage that can come out, especially with her ultimate. Just absolutely melt people. Surprising amount of damage that can come out of that. And then there's Tryndamere. So Tryndamere can really fulfill that split pushing role that Ganbei just absolutely loves to do. You can sit up there in top lane, probably end up rushing a Ravenous Hydra, push waves out in no time flat, push down towers in no time flat, and just stay up there. Tryndamere doesn't even ever need to come back and help out his team. Right? Once he starts getting a huge amount of items, if he does decide to join his team, he's going to be able to shut them down. And Nomad doesn't have a huge amount of CC to kind of keep him in place. If like they have the Shen taunt, but that's really about it. If he gets gold carded, it's not going to be a huge deal to him. He can spin back into the team, and he can just kind of melt their back line, even their front line, based on what he decides to build. If he decides to end up joining them for team fights.
Yeah, and especially now that Master Yi is locked in, they have one melee carry versus another. This is just going to be crazy because whichever carry between the two gets ahead is going to pretty much snowball the game in favor of their team. If they both end up getting fed, because they're actually not in the same lane together, we see Fad there with Yi in the jungle, not swapping out. That will be Shen top lane and Yi in the jungle, but both are going to be extremely hard to deal with as the game goes on, just because they can jump in, they can be a huge distraction and let the rest of their team just do as much damage as possible. Twish especially, if Yi is going to be the huge distraction for all the crowd control, and it's really not even that much crowd control. You see one pointed stun, a possible AoE stun from Final Hunt, but the rest is just, there's really not a whole lot of crowd control to lock down the likes of Master Yi. On the other side, you have a silence, you have a taunt, you have a couple of slows, and it's targeted stun. That's a little bit more to keep Tryndamere down. But again, whatever you throw at those melee carries, that's going to let the rest of your team just kind of clean up after you. You're going to do some damage and just pull as much attention as possible. You do have a little bit of leeway in there with the Undying Rage, and to some extent the now a little bit less of a tanky meditate for Master Yi. But either way, they're just going to be drawing so much, and the rest of their team has the damage potential to follow up behind them when they're left free to attack.
Yeah, this is a really good composition that could kind of come up from both. I'm a little bit curious about what Nomad is exactly kind of planning with this composition. In terms of the fact that, I guess, Fadishu can kind of Alpha Strike into the enemy team, comboed in with the Lulu ultimate to get the knockup. Same time with the Shen, if they can use the Alpha Strike while Shen is comboing in with Stand United, will be invulnerable, and then kind of get a good initiation off. So the synergy between the two is pretty good. But in terms of overall team fighting, really the only front line that Nomad has right now is Shen. Well, they will have the Lulu kind of be able to bring somebody back to a decent amount of help with wild growth, but most likely in team fight phase, they're going to want to be using that to help with the initiation. So if Elite Crew can kind of just blow past the Shen, kind of ignore him, the rest of the team is going to blow up. Master Yi isn't really known for building a lot of defenses. Twisted Fate never really ever builds any defensive. Most AD carries tend to build fairly glass cannon until later into the game, getting a Guardian Angel or something like that, and then supports are just notoriously squishy, so they don't have a very strong front line.
Yeah, that's pretty true, just especially for Nomad Gaming. The front line really is just Tryndamere and Hecarim on that team. I mean, Junkie is going to be in the middle of the fray just with Onslaught of Shadows, but Ganbei on Tryndamere especially, it's kind of like a pseudo tankiness that your ultimate gives you. Obviously it's not pure tankiness because it's only for a limited amount of time, but it's still something, and it can really, again, just distract a whole lot of stuff onto him. And even then, they don't even have to look for team fights. Their team is actually really good in skirmish potential as well. As long as Final Hunt can eliminate one person from the fight very quickly with a full burst combo from Syndra, then it can really turn any small skirmish into their potential while Ganbei is just off split pushing.
Absolutely, Syndra's one of those champions that can really just melt down anybody. If she decides to get a Void Staff earlier into the game after some of her major items, she can just melt down a frontline tank. So, being Shen, she would be able to melt down a Shen fairly quickly if she can get the right amount of items to do so. Syndra does a humongous and surprising amount of burst damage that most people can't anticipate, and it is a targeted spell, so you can't exactly avoid it unless you can become invulnerable. So, going to be a really bit of a tricky situation based on how Final Hunt likes to play Syndra. I've seen lots of different kind of styles. You kind of have the one that likes to poke back, wait for a priority target to open up and then cast R, or just kind of take out the front line and then wait for the rest of the team to clean up after the main kind of frontline tanks are dead. So, it will be based on kind of what Final Hunt wants to do with this.
Yeah, we'll just...
Sorry guys, we are getting into the loading screen now. Just want to thank you guys for watching the stream with us all this time. We know we had a little bit of some stream errors, but we thank you guys for sticking around. We are going to be getting into our best of 3 in just a moment here. Loading has just finished up. We'll be getting in here in just a moment.
Yeah, and now we haven't really been doing this at all today, but Skin Intimidation. What do you think?
Oh, yes. No, I have Riot Graves on one side, and then Bittersweet Lulu, TPA Shen, and Gangster Twitch on another. So
yeah, I think that pretty much takes it. Anyway, we are into game now.
Intimidation, yeah, goes to Nomad. Sorry about it looks like the overlay doesn't have Nomad's gaming name on there. Okay, there we go. No, we got it fixed up. Sorry about that, guys. So, yeah, no, Nomad Gaming versus... Yeah, now I'm pulling out a brain fire. Elite Crew Reborn.
And it's the other way around. In the blue corner is Elite Crew Reborn, and in the red corner is Nomad Gaming. Again, we see a total biscuit on the mid laner for Elite Crew here. It's unusual, but it is what Final Hunt tends to go for with his builds. He likes to just get a lot of cooldown reduction on his casters and just able to chunk out as much lane utility as possible and use that to dominate the lane instead of just going for straight offensive stats.
Yeah, it does have that biscuit running fairly deep into the utility tree here. So, yeah, we'll be having that cooldown reduction. Cooldown reduction extremely useful on Syndra early on, able to pump out those dark fields. Really good for early game harassment, able to zone out really easily. Plays out a lot similar to Cassiopeia's Noxious Blast, just continuous spamming of the ability that can just keep coming up on very short cooldowns here. You see a little bit of aggression hanging down towards the mid lane. No, everybody's just kind of playing it safe, defending their own side of the jungle here. There has been a ward placed down by Nomad Gaming onto the red buff here of ECR, so they are going to be aware of when that's going down. But a safety ward has also been placed on their own red buff from ECR, just to make sure there's no invades that come down from that.
I think Voodoo was actually trying to get the ward over the wall into the bush, but he failed to do that and actually ended up just warding on top of himself there. No pink counter wards just to try to get rid of that ward that they failed to get rid of there, but that is going to get a bit of vision control just against that Hecarim. It looks like Junkie will have a little bit of a hard time, not necessarily clearing his jungle, but he's going to have a bit of an issue just trying to get around and stay out of vision just because of that one ward they have down. They know he's going to his blue first and the red second, but nothing really counter jungling coming out of this. We do have a lane swap, however, here. Both the dual lane from Nomad Gaming has gone up to the top lane against Tryndamere, and it's exactly what they have to do, at least in the early game, just to keep Ganbei down and prevent the split push. They're not exactly preventing him from farming too much right now. They're just letting him get the last hits, even under turret. It's not too much, but it is something, and he's already out CSing his lane opponent by 1 down the bot lane. Squishy there. Just 1 CS, 2, Ganbei is 2.
Yeah, so this is exactly what they needed to do. They needed to send it to the lane, the duo lane up to top lane, stop Ganbei from doing his early game pressure. It's the way he likes to play. He likes to provide that early game pressure early on and assert his dominance in the lane. Right now he can't do that. Taken down extremely low from the expunge damage here. Forced to back off. He can't play the style of game that he likes to play in these lane matchups. He is forced to play passively. It's not something that he likes to do.
No, it's not. And it's exactly what they have to do. It's not just apply pressure. It's get him off his game force him to do something he's uncomfortable with, and then they just prevent him from carrying alone just with map pressure. Even the last game he was in, he was actually about even or even negative KDA at some points. It was just that he was able to draw so much attention to himself that it gave the rest of his team control for the whole map, gave them dragons, gave them turrets in the long run, and just then propelled them to victory. But he cannot do that this game because of really how unable he is to even win his own lane. Now it looks like even Faz is coming up here just to help get this turret down. He will be forced to go in melee range to attack it, but it's really no problem against the Ponzer tank on Lulu, who's able to zone out Ganbei here. The turret's already down to about a third health, and they're trying to get it down this next wave here.
Yeah, next wave is coming in here. Does not have a cannon minion, but Junkie is here to make sure that the tower doesn't go down, trying to hold it out as long as they can here. Twitch able to kind of pump out a little bit of DPS from the side there, so they are doing a little bit of tower damage on the side, but aren't able to take it down just yet as fast as they would like. Meanwhile, on the bottom lane, the tower is about halfway health for ECR, so not quite where they want to do. Getting a great taunt underneath the tower onto JWN, but actually looks like he got some pathing issues and didn't end up walking towards the tower at all. So, Squishy doing his best to farm underneath that tower and stay alive as long as he can.
The bottom turret there seemed to target him for just a second, but it may have been just like on the edge of that range where it didn't quite hit him, even though the targeting laser was on him. Top turret dropping dangerously low.
A lot of aggression going down onto the top lane here. Junkie looks like he's trying to get in onto the secret hit, but forced to bow back away, drop it down to about 25% health. Looks like he just can't seem to get close over to this Twitch, doing a surprising amount of burst damage to them.
Final Hunt's taken really low in that mid lane. Ignite was burned off of Norm there. It looks like Faz is just trying to zone Final Hunt away from the turret. Not really any damage going on to it, but again, a taunt on her turret. JWN taking one turret shot for that. He's out of mana, so he can't really use his buckshot to force this wave anymore, like the dual lane pair in the top lane for Nomad is doing. They're about to get this turret down. That should be the first of the game. Now with about a 1k gold lead just from that alone.
Yeah, they managed to get the turret down. Now just farming out that wave. Probably going to be heading back, over to that bottom lane, and then let Shen get back over to that top lane and try and play that lane as best as he can.
Yeah, and especially now the first turret has gone down in favor of Nomad Gaming. It's a little bit... Ganbei is going to be a little bit harder pressed just to continue the split push that he's putting out. Actually,
JWN actually getting dropped down extremely low, forced to take a couple of tower shots. Then with a Vorpal blade coming down, forcing his own flash, and now has to back turret, whereas Twitch and Lulu are now on their way here, so they weren't able to get that down.
Yeah, if actually Squishy had Ignite there instead of Teleport, that would have been a very dead JWN right there. No Ignite, however, no kill secure with that. So no kill in the bot lane at all, and still no first blood actually here at 6.5 minutes.
Yeah, no crazy dives going on in turn, even though there was a lane swap. Fantasy has been kind of roaming in and out of every lane so far, heading back over to the mid lane now, but hasn't been able to get any ganks off just yet. So kind of just looked like a passive lane. Now we see a lot of aggression going down onto the bottom tier 1 tower. They do have a canyon minion with this wave and a huge amount of minions, so might be able to get a lot of pressure down onto this. JWN is on his way. They won't be able to quite finish it off, but it is already down to halfway health, so getting down extremely low already.
Yeah, that should be the first 2 turrets of the game right there. JWN has returned with 2 long swords and dagger right now. Nothing really too big there. Squishy finally burning his teleport to protect that top turret against Ganbei's split push. In one push, he already took it down to half health just because Squishy was trying to get that bottom turret with his AD carry. Taunt on her turret for Ganbei though. He has his ultimate up by now though.
Yeah, does actually manage to heal a lot of that damage back up with his Bloodlust, so not really too worried about taking a couple tower shots. It is kind of just ignoring everything Shen is doing to him, because if Shen does try to auto attack him, the minion wave will switch aggro, so Shen will end up taking a fair amount of damage from that as well. So kind of Ganbei is playing this really smartly, knowing exactly how to play this champion in terms of this matchup.
Yeah, and one thing that Ganbei is actually doing, he is maxing that Bloodlust first. He was doing that pretty much just for the 1v2 sustain that he needed, and he's just continuing to do that since he's been alone in that top lane. Likewise, we also see Squishy maxing his Vorpal Blade first. Both top laners opting for the sustain skill first to get
Sorry, Flash going down from Voodoo here, going down onto Secret with the Shatter here, trying to best to catch up. Flash coming up from JWN, actually forced to use the Exhauster, but now Destiny is being popped, going right down onto JWN. Gold card, first blood going down onto Norm over here. Voodoo now forced to run away, running into his own jungle, putting a ward down onto the Tread Brush as he runs away. Sorry, Junkie is here to just make sure he stays safe, but that was first blood going down onto Norm.
Yeah, the top lane here, we have a little bit of back and forth. It looks like Squishy actually wanted to go in, but Gambe is out damaging him 1v1. Both are taken very low.
Both of them are taking really low here. Squishy trying his best to run over to his tower. Flashes away. Gambe still going in. Does have that Undying Rage. Spinning slashes right into him. Ignoring the tower damage and walking away from that safely. But here comes Fad over on the side, popping down Highlander, trying his best to catch up. Flash coming over the wall from Ganbei here. Fad is still hard on the chase, but using Spinning Slash into the bear pit, will be able to walk away safely from that one.
No Destiny available on Norm right now. They cannot catch that Tryndamere. This is, again, exactly what Ganbei has been doing before. He's just the split-pushing, dueling monster, especially with the Undying Rage. He's able to just turret dive at will against Squishy right now. And Squishy is still fairly squishy. He only just bought that, actually, I don't even know what he just bought. I wasn't really paying attention to
Giant's belt and a chain vest. It's the first time he's gone back, so...
yes. It is actually the first time he's gone back because he used the teleport to get to top lane earlier. He didn't even bother going back to base before that. But now we actually do see Fad pushing out that lane a little bit more. Now that Squishy actually has those extra tank items under his belt, he should be able to really just at least outlast Ganbei in a straight 1v1 fight, but that's still a lot of pressure that Ganbei brings to the table. But actually, now that the Giant's belt is there in particular, remember Shen's damage actually scales his own head, and we have an engagement in bot lane.
And bottom lane going down here. Secret forced to try and use that expunge to do as much damage as he can here. Was not able to get quite in range, but here comes the Stand United. Flash coming down for Poltertank. And they got great taunt onto Voodoo here. Voodoo forced to run away. Polter picking up the kill onto JWN. Voodoo has nowhere to run. Double kill. Both kills going down onto Poltertank.
Yeah, meanwhile in the mid lane there was a gank there from Junkie right onto Norm, and both in the mid and top lane there's a lot of pressure here for Elite Crew. This is exactly what they wanted, especially with Squishy now in the bot lane. They should be able to get that first tier bottom turret, but they might give up 2 in the process. This is a lot of early gold, and actually Manion's taking up that last hit.
Final Hunt turning that situation around there, using that, what's that called again? Unleash power, his ultimate, ridiculous amounts of damage. Yeah, and just picking up that kill. I wanted to see if he got, yeah, he did manage to pick up a double buff off of him. So now he is going to be with the red buff in that lane. Syndra does have a fairly decent auto attack range, so Norm's gonna have a little bit of trouble in terms of this lane. But meanwhile in the top lane, Ganbei doing his thing, getting taunted under the tower, but taking a couple more shots than I think he anticipated there. Didn't realize he was still in aggro range, but healing that back up with Bloodlust. Plus with the Vampiric Scepter he has, now going over into the enemy jungle, doing a little bit of counter jungling. But Ganbei doing what he does best, forcing pressure onto that lane and split pushing and being a nuisance. That's what he's doing, and he's doing it well. Trying to fight onto Squishy now. Not really winning in terms of those trades. Squishy has a lot of armor at this point, so is able to kind of negate a lot of the damage coming out, and Ganbei is forced to back away from that. Meanwhile, in the mid lane here, Norm is actually getting dropped down extremely low from all this aggression coming down here. Unleashed Power is going to do tremendous amount of damage with all of Final Hunt's abilities, and will drop down Twisted Fate.
Yeah, before he got that kill earlier onto Fads, he actually already had the blue buff and then picked up the red buff off of Fads. So we already had that extra cooldown reduction for his ultimate earlier and had that available for that 1v1 again onto Norm. That's the second time he's been able to burst him down pretty much 1v1 here. Actually, I'll lie. The first time that Norm died, it was to a gank. But now, actually, Elite has control over Dragon just because there's no Destiny on the enemy team.
Final Hunt doing a really good job of keeping the enemy team away from the Dragon as they secure it. They do manage to pick it up here, but now Fatasu in a little bit of a tough spot here. Mocking Shell being used. Fatasu forced to use Highlander to try and run away here. The stun just barely missing on from Syndra, and Fatasu is able to run away from that safely.
Yeah, that Highlander was popped. Interestingly enough, it actually isn't quite as important as it used to be before this rework onto Master Yi. He doesn't really need to have that there for the resets, and it was really just used to prevent the slow on himself, get him away. That mocking shout was really a big instrument in what would have been a lockdown onto him right there. But he did pop that Highlander and he got away safely, preventing a little bit more pressure on that mid turret of theirs, keeping it alive just for the time being. Overall, it is 2-2 in turrets, and it looks like Squishy is actually able to finally get a little bit more dual damage onto Ganbei. Like I was about to say earlier, now that he has that Giant's Belt, his own damage is actually scaling with his health, and he's able to put back a lot of damage onto Ganbei. And Boonzer Tank taking him very low in the mid lane. His own ult popped just to keep him alive against the full combo from Vital Hunt, but Vital Hunt taking a lot of damage from the auto attacks and Expunge now. He's forced off away from the what was basically 1v2 zoning.
Final Hunt really using that stun to his advantage, has really excellent range on it. Is going to be maxed out pretty soon, so Syndra's passive does grant it a little bit better range. Is just keeping the enemy at bay with the safety in terms of the range of her abilities. So doing a really good job in this lane, playing this matchup really well.
Yeah, and in that top lane, Junkie was looking for a gank. He actually popped Onslaught of Shadows in that gank there just to try and get Squishy down. Squishy forced the flash at the end of that, but he did live, and there's still a shot on the board, split pushing against the Tryndamere. Both of them just kind of going back and forth in the top lane, but it's kind of just like back and forth with the minion waves too. Just a minute ago, it was up against the tier 2 top turret on Elite, but now it looks like Ganbei is already pushing back against him, almost towards Squishy's top turret.
Yeah, lots of pressure coming down from all lanes here for both teams, actually. Just kind of pushing and counter pushing and then pushing and counter pushing. Kind of coming down for both here. Both teams have a decent amount of kind of pressure that they can apply. But in terms of being able to kind of just get anywhere around the map, we have essentially two globals here. We have the Twisted Fate from Norm, and we have the teleport. Oh, Norm realizes he's in trouble. You're forced to pop Destiny. Gonna use that to get back to his own side of the map safely. So that is Destiny being used now. Meanwhile, the mid lane here, Pones are really taking a lot of damage, forced to flash away from the Syndra's damage threat just to keep himself safe.
Vital Hunt going in now that the crowd control has been used. Actually, Spray and Pray used as well on top of Final Hunt there, getting a lot of damage with the Expunge. Should force him away from this turret. Buddha is pretty much the only one left to defend, but everyone from Nomad Gaming is backing off that from now. One thing I want to point out is that it is 2-2 in turrets, but the lanes that haven't had the turrets gone so far is the mid lane. I can imagine whichever team takes the mid turret first is the one that's going to have the biggest map control afterwards. And really just to stop the split push, it seems like... Oh wow, it looks like Cindy and I was actually using the mid lane just against some damage there. Looking for an engage there possibly, but nothing really happened with that. JWN going for a little bit of harass damage. Nothing really coming from that. No, actually, I'm wrong. That was the teleport used.
I was about to say no. I wasn't Stand Unite. I was going to correct you in a second. So Stand Unite's still up, but teleport was used.
Yes, it's one global down, but still another teleport ability available there for Squishy. Now, actually, Ganbei is split pushing in the bot lane, so he's just trying to like switch his focused around the map. He hasn't really been able to take anything top.
Secret actually going in aggressive here. GG Norm running a great gold card at the GW and forced to flash away here. Wild Growth used on the Secret just to keep himself alive here. Now Junkie's in a little bit of trouble. Does use that Onslaught of Shadows to try and get the counter engagement to keep people off of off of JWN, but JWN just absolutely melts and will drop down to that gank. And now the pressure is on for this mid lane turret.
Yeah, now both Ganbei is actually joined this party in mid as well. Norm is wow.
Norm getting melted by unleashed power there. Just using only, I think it was 4 balls on the field. So the 3 around Syndra and the 1 that she casted on the ground, doing tremendous damage down to Norm here. Final Hunt doing a good job of zoning people away with her balls there. Sorry, that sounded really weird, didn't it? Yeah, Final Hunt using Dark Sphere to kind of keep people away. Sorry, zoning people away with Dark Sphere. Doing a really good job keeping them away from the tower as they're able to pick that one up in the mid lane.
And it goes back to what I just said. The first team to take the mid turret is the one that will have the most control. And you can see that it just happened. Elite had all the pressure in mid. They actually lost their AD carry, but they were able to turn around. One dazzle stun from Voodoo right there basically turned that around. Got them the kill on Norm and just annihilated that mid turret right there. Fab was absolutely nowhere near. He couldn't turn that around with his own damage even, just to even help that push back. Now Nomad is actually looking for more pressure in this mid lane. Ganbei is all the way in top lane, not anywhere really near another turret he can get. Destiny is just become available for Norm, so he can come back to this mid lane and aid a 5-man push, but there's a lot of wave clear there for Elite Crew, and they're able to keep off the push in mid lane.
Yeah, managing to withhold onto that tower there. Gold lead is dead even right now, so still anybody's game here. Just Ganbei doing his best to try and create the pressure up on top lane, but with 2 globals coming out from Nomad Gaming, it's tricky. It's really hard to just keep that pressure going when people could just teleport back to their team at any time. The point of split pushing is to keep people away from team fights so that you can create pressure, or at least you could take some towers down. But there's a teleport coming down from Shen. He has Stand United. He can get pretty much anywhere in the map in the blink of an eye. How does that code go? How come I can be anywhere in 3 seconds or something like that? So Shen able to kind of get around anywhere in the map. Same with Twisted Fate. Just being able to Destiny in, use the gate to get in there extremely quickly.
Yeah, now we have Elite Crew looking to get Dragon. There's really no one around to smite contest it. As I say that, it looks like Fat has actually joined the party. He gets Dazzle Stun and Voodoo taken extremely low first. But Fat is meta tanking right now as much as possible. Wild Growth Pods. Looks like they should be able to disengage this right now. Norm actually finishing Voodoo off in the end of that. All ultimates popped, basically. And Destiny finally popped, looking for a re-engage here with Norm.
Secret actually coming in from the back with the stealth. Squishy actually was dropped down extremely low by Trendemir in the top lane. Super risky Stand United, living with about 110 health, but the stealth engagement from Secretic coming in with the stealth and to Stand United. Shen popping out of nowhere and Secretic grabbing a triple kill with it.
I totally missed the kill on Trendemir right there. I'll have to rewind that and see what happened.
But I think he died to the tower. Yeah, he was busy split pushing after fighting the Shen, and then ended up getting killed to the tower while he was trying to push up at the top lane there. So a little bit of a misplay from Ganbei there. You can see him typing out in chat, "Oops, my bad." But yeah, tower did finish him off in the top lane there.
Yeah, and that was a little bit surprising, and did give Nomad the ace there. Only 7 to 9 kills here at 21 minutes. And it did, Elite actually did pick up the Dragon right in there. I believe it was Elite. Yes.
Yes, they picked up that Dragon.
Donkey did smite that away, but it did give the first mid turret to Nomad, finally equalizing that turret score 3 to 3. But the 2 Dragons so far have both gone to Elite, and they're really just controlling that area of the map, especially just because Ganbei is all the way up there. They always have to divert someone up to him at all times. The Summoner Teleport is just going to become available.
Yeah, we're actually going mega aggressive onto Fad here, doing a lot of damage here. Fad forced to use his Highlander just to escape that situation. But here comes Squishy, and here comes Ponzertank trying their best to catch up. Ponzer trying to catch up here. Great talk going down to Ganbei. Comboed in with the knock up here. Fad sitting there meta-tanking the damage. Ganbei does manage to drop them down, using that Undying Rage, trying his best to run away. Ponzer now finishing him off. That's another kill onto the support. Ponzer has picked up 3 kills so far.
Yeah, he's 3-0. At least he's going to have to try to at least keep the killing spree a shutdown gold off of anyone, especially now with that score. He does have, actually, he rushed Twin Shadows, which is not the most common first Ion supports, but
A lot of aggression going down to mid lane here. Secretic actually getting caught out here. Ignite going down, dropping down extremely low. I don't know if it's going to be enough to finish him off. He does manage to pick up the kill onto Tarek, who's taking that damage now. Turnaround going on to JW, and Nor picking up the kill there. And now Final Line is on the run, but Destiny being popped. Realizing that Final Line has no mana now. Final Line has nowhere to go. Will drop down. Ponzer picking up another kill into that mid lane.
Both the dual laners in this bot lane now have a 4-kill killing spree on them. It should be another tier mid turret lane. The Spooky Ghost pops just to slow down Junkie right there, but there's no real damage available. The Secretic had to actually back after being taken very low by the Ignite. I think it was actually that last auto attack that kept him alive with the lifesteal he had off that Vamp Scepter. Just barely kept him alive through the Ignite, but he did live. No shutdown gold there, and a 3 for O exchange in favor of Nomad, but nothing was really taken after that. So
Secretic lived with, I think, single digit HP. So really, really, really low. just barely living, getting extremely fortunate in that circumstance, and even managed to pick up a kill. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, though, Fad getting dropped down extremely low here. Teleport coming down from Squishy, catching out Junkie underneath the turret. Junkie using the ghost just to escape that turret aggro. Ganbei just being a nuisance everywhere in the map. Doesn't even care about the tower. Sat there tanking it while they finished off Fad underneath his own tower. Now Final Hunt is joining the fray, trying his best to get some damage down, taking a little bit of damage, but gonna walk away from this.
But meanwhile, in the bot lane, Secret Dick is split pushing that. He should be able to get away from this. There's no really any vision control. He's just starting to back right now. I don't believe that Voodoo is anywhere near enough to be able to stun him out of that recall. Secret Dick actually does get away there. I actually didn't even notice. Did he even bother popping stealth before he started recalling?
No, I don't think he did. I think he was, yeah, he just popped ambush in the base, so he did not. Meanwhile, the top lane here, Ganbei still being annoying here, zoning Squishy out from those minions, trying to be as annoying as possible, keeping pressure up in that top lane here, trying to get his team to just force other objectives as well.
Yeah, one thing he hasn't really been able to do like he has before is actually get down to the inhibitor turret. If anything, that's a sign that Nomad is properly responding to what they already knew would be a lot of split push pressure from Ganbei. They've kept him from taking that tier 2 turret. They're able to have someone up there split pushing all the time with him, with actually a double teleport on him, Stand United and the Summoner teleport. So they can just keep Squishy up there the entire time, prevent the push. They can even taunt Ganbei under turret to prevent him from auto attacking it while Squishy just clears the wave in the meantime. And that's actually finally a Sunfire Cave and eventually a locket that's just being built onto Squishy right now.
Squishy just picked up that Aegis now, hoping to build that into a locket fairly soon. Just trying to be a frontman tank for his team, not really building anything to keep himself, I guess, as a damage threat, just building as a tank here. Meanwhile, Secret Dick actually passing by Ganbei. He is stealth though, is going to be revealed in just a moment there. Ganbei does catch him out now, going aggressive, using a mucket shot, delaying it, but all the globals are being used right now, stunning him under tower, just barely missing the taunt. Ganbei is in trouble here, taking a lot of damage here, flashing away, using that bloodlust to try and keep himself alive here. Looks like they can't catch up to him. Ganbei manages to get away from that safely, burning both of the global spells. So now that is Destiny and Final Hour, or sorry, Stand United, not Final Hour, being procced out and not available for the team to use.
They popped so much just for a kill that they didn't get there, giving up now the third dragon to Elite Crew. Fad's way too late to try and smite.
That actually getting stunned now. Onslaught of Shadows going down. World Growth being used to try and keep himself alive. Ponzer is in a little bit of trouble here. Fanasu in the middle of the fray, trying his best. Actually managed to pick up the kill on the JWN. Final Hunt realizes now he's in trouble, picking up another kill. Meanwhile, Junkie now on the run here. And Tarek in the middle of all that, trying his best to be the tank for his team, fell in the middle of all of that as well. So great turnaround coming down from Nomad Gaming.
Yeah, they should be able to get this next mid turret as well. Only Ganbei really available to defend that against a couple of very high attack speed champions. He shouldn't be able to defend this. It's going down very quickly here. Let's finally go down. He might get popped here, and he does.
Ganbei doing his best to try and do as much damage as he can. Doesn't have Undying Rage available, so does get caught out by the Vorpal Blade at the end of that exchange, and will drop down to that.
Yeah, finally dropping down there. Actually, that is now his third death in the game, 2 and 3 overall. He's becoming less and less of a split push threat just because of the Shen, and because that now a lot of the members on Nomad Gaming can match his damage in a 1v1. They're able to keep him back. They're able to prevent him from 1v2 and 1v3ing them all at the same time, and they're taking turrets with it. Now they're finally up in turret score against Elite. They took that 4th turret of the game, especially with it down the mid lane. They have so much map control now. They can go in and out of Elite's jungle as they please. Look at all that ward control. It's just up towards the blue buff area for Elite. A Nomad putting it down there around Elite's blue buff. And it's just... Obviously, it's not out of hand. The goal difference right now is only about 5k, but it's 9 to 17 in kills, 3 to 4 in turrets. But I believe it's really just... The only thing that's accounting for the goal difference so far is like the little differences in farm you see. Especially Twisted Fate with a 20 CS advantage with his passive is so deceptive. The bot lane, the big farm advantage for Secret Tick here, about 30 ahead of his lane opponents. And now we have a pause. Anyway, we're talking about farm. It's those 3 dragons that are really keeping the gold disadvantage as close as it is here at 5,000. So really the only difference there is in the farm and the one turret and a few of the kills. But you would expect a kill lead like that to really transition to more than 5,000 gold. It's really just the global. It's the global's objectives that Elite is keeping up with that's keeping them in this game right now.
Absolutely. I do want to point out here that Nomad Gaming knew what Gambay wanted to do. He wanted to play that split pushing. He's done that so far. Game's starting back up in just a second here. But yeah, they knew what he wanted to do. They knew that no matter what they did, he was going to play somebody who could split push. They did ban his Vladimir. Teemo was available. We knew he played Teemo. Did decide to go for that Tryndamere this game though. But they knew what he wanted to do. And they were fortunate enough that Shen and Twisted Fate weren't banned this game. Things played out perfectly for them. A lot of this did come down to that pick and ban phase where they left things that can counter split pushing open, and it's really hurting what Gambay can do for his team right now. He's not able to do the job that he was able to do last time.
You're sending a lot of people up in this top lane just to get rid of Gambay. 4 members of Nomad just to get him off that second tier top turret. He hasn't really gotten a whole lot of damage on it. It's only down by about a quarter of its health at the moment. He's backing off there completely away from all the members. He didn't really have any of his own vision in that jungle, and there's not really an oracles to clear out any vision either. One thing that Poser Tank actually hasn't been doing much of is the word control. He's had some in this game, but there's no sight stone. Looks like he's even building towards looks like a haunting guy is there.
Now long aggression going down onto the mid lane. Your wild goes used onto Junkie as he gets knocked up here. Gambay actually taking out a lot of damage here. Forced to use Undying Rage. Can't turn around to go back into the fight here. Onslaught of Shadows used extremely late, but does manage to pick up the kill onto Fatashu here. Lulu will pick up the kill onto the Hecarim. Poser Tank now in a little bit of damage here. Secret Tank in a really dangerous position. Dropped down extremely low to the smoke screen. JW trying his best to kite around the tanks now. Catching up over to GG Norm, who's extremely low. Won't be able to get away from that though. But now Squishy is in a little bit of trouble. Gambay did not die in that exchange. Squishy in a little bit of trouble here. They're really tanky, not really able to fall down, but they do eventually manage to pick up the KO. Shutdown going on to Gambay.
Squishy really overstaying his welcome there. I'm surprised he stuck around just to try to take down a low health Tryndamere who had the lifesteal. That's not something you really do with any great success most of the time unless you have a way to just crowd control him down, which he didn't really. Even the taunt, it forces him to auto attack you. Even with the reduced damage, he's still going to lifesteal off of that, and really it's not something he really could have won there. A 2 over 3 overall though, nothing really coming out after that. No turrets taken. The turret score is still 3-4. The gold is back down to about 4,000, and now that we're at the half-hour mark, 4,000 really doesn't mean anything.
It's not a huge amount.
It's not even 10% of the total gold between these two teams, and really it's about that 20% mark where you see a big difference in the gold lead, and that's just not there right now.
Yeah, the game is still really close. We do still have a very tight match. This is kind of the point in the game where both teams are going to be looking to try and grab a Baron. Whoever can grab that Baron control will be able to kind of sweep this game away with that Baron buff, with all the regen and the bonus stats that it gives. So, going to be kind of a competition to see who can get that first.
Yeah, and this Baron, there's finally a little bit of war control going down onto Baron. A little bit of Gambay going into on the spot lane here. Norm stuns him up, but he should be able to get out of this pretty safely. Again, a gold card on a low cooldown there, able to just scare Gambay away from turret diving him.
Yeah, Gambay does back away from that. It looks like he has decided to stop split pushing top and start split pushing bottom instead here. So creating a lot of pressure in different parts of the map here. You know, near the jungle here, we actually see, we just see some aggressive warding coming down here. Looks like their Nomad game is doing their best to take as much control of the jungle as they can. They do have aggressive wards all throughout ECR's jungle, so doing a really good job of making sure they know where the enemy is at almost all points in the game.
Yeah, and that's something that's like, we've seen a lot of very dense ward coverages in these last couple of recent games. It's not exactly something that's happened too much. Finally, some anti-wards going on here. Voodoo just pinking a bush. It's actually just missed that one pink that's in the Dragon Pit, and no, I'm wrong. He goes over to finally take that out. The Dragon just respawned here, and it looks like at least Nomad is going to try to contest this one. They've given up all 3 to Elite so far. Spooky Ghost popped, and it looks like Poser Tank is going to start this up and get his team over there. No Smite really anywhere nearby to contest this. This should be Nomad's first Dragon of the game.
Yeah, they're going to be able to pick up their first dragon of the game here. No competition. Doesn't look like they're really interested in fighting it at all. I don't even think they realized that dragon was up at the moment. There wasn't really any pings that were dropped down. So kind of ended up giving away a free dragon there. And just going back to their farm game, Nomad more than happy to kind of take this to a little bit later stage of the game, as they do kind of tend to have a little bit better late game scaling. They do have the Shen, and they do have the Twitch. Twisted Fate can do a humongous amount of damage once he decides to start building a Lich Bane onto that. And they do also have a Master Yi, the melee hyper carry. So I don't think they really seem to mind playing out this farm game.
One thing you just pointed out about Twisted Fate's build is that he's trying to go for Lich Bane. He's actually gone, well, now that he has the Sheen in there after that back. But what I was going to say, it looks like he's trying to go for the bursty wave clear and just single target assassination because he has that Deathfire Grasp in there. But especially just because of the Tryndamere, he's been forced to go with that Zhonya's Hourglass early instead of going for the turret pressure that a Lich Bane offers. And especially if you can get a Deathfire Grasp into a Lich Bane proc, it's going to be a giant chunk of someone's health if you can get anywhere near them. Really, there isn't a whole lot of magic resist on anyone on that team. There's finally a Spectre's Cowl being built on, looks like Junkie there, but that's it. There's no magic resist there. But okay, I have to lie. There's an Aegis on Tarek, but so it's not that much, and he can still melt pretty much anyone he gets in range of, and especially once that Lich Bane is finished, it's even going to be more true.
Yeah, absolutely. It is going to be really scary. He is getting fairly close to that. Does have the Sheen built right now, sitting on about 600 gold. So about I think it's about 500, 700 gold off, if I'm not mistaken, to a Lich Bane. So he is getting very close to that Lich Bane, and he is going to be extremely scary. He does have that Deathfire Grasp, though, so if he chooses to go in for a quick assassination, he will be able to do it quite easily if he pops that Deathfire Grasp onto an enemy target.
Yeah, I actually don't know the combined cost for Lich Bane, but he's still missing the blasting one for that, which is...
Spooky Ghost actually going out here. Highlander being popped out. Wall growth going down. Vanish Shadow flashing over the wall, realizing that Stand United is coming back in though. Seeking will be able to pick up the kill onto the Hecarim here now. Going really aggressive underneath their own side of the map there. And now looks like they're going to put down this pressure onto the mid lane here. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Gambit trying his best to split push, but they will be trading a tier 2 for a tier 3. So definitely more worth it for Nomad. They're even going to be able to get the inhibitor off of this. Unless Gambit can push this out extremely quickly, he won't be able to match out what they've just managed to accomplish.
Ganbei's split pushing pressure is losing him an inhibitor. He hasn't been there to help defend that push, and it looks like Nomad is going to be Squishy forcing the teleport there just to defend that turret there. Taunting Ganbei under turret, but he's actually already low himself.
Yeah, actually trying to kite around the turret, using the flash to the other side here, doing a really good job kiting. The rest of the team isn't quite here to help out yet. Squishy getting dropped down really low, Undying Rage being popped down. He won't be able to survive that, taking that down, but here comes the Destiny, going right beside the turret. Gambit flashing away, has no health, is forced to take the tower shot, and will die. The gold going over to Squishy.
Once again, he dies 1v1 to a turret. Kill going over to Squishy again.
Yeah, turret was definitely the MVP in that. Squishy doing a really good job of kiting around that turret the best he could. He was using the taunt defensively, kind of just moving around the turret, flashing to the other side of it, doing his best to just kind of keep Ganbei busy and force him to take more turret damage than he would have liked.
Yeah, most importantly there is the turret is still alive. It's down to about 1/3 of its health though, so Ganbei can return and at least very quickly melt that turret if he can ever get to it. I can imagine though that Nomad is going to try to keep that lane as far pushed as possible, because now that is a very contested objective by this point, and it's very open for Ganbei to take down if he can get close. But Elite Crew is kind of going to be a little forced back with that inhibitor down. It is only one inhibitor though. It's not the end of the world. They're only 5k gold down, still keeping that gold difference about where it is. 13 to 21 in kills, still only one turret behind and 2 dragons up. So they are keeping it very close here, but it looks like Nomad is trying to go for this Baron, just getting a lot of vision control around the area. No one quite starting it off yet, but it looks like they're at least trying to start it here soon, and they should as soon as they get a kill maybe on the final hunt. Watch this.
Yeah, final hunt actually getting a little bit caught up. Forced to burn. That Zonya's down there. Gold card is locked up. Wow, gold's being used just for the knockup. Lots of damage going down on the Panzer tank, but it will drop down. Secret getting the kill onto that. Meanwhile, Fatishu picking up the kill onto Voodoo Savior there. And yeah, that was just going to be a free Baron for them if they decide to turn around. They do. They turn around. They're going back for that Baron. And my gosh, it's melting quickly. The true damage coming down from Secret is absolutely melting it, as well as the Sheen procs coming down from Norm, melting this thing extremely quickly. That's the first Baron of the game going down for Nomad Gaming.
Yeah, this is a huge boost for Nomad Gaming right now. They need to make sure to get these other tier 2 turrets down the side lanes. A big minion wave pushing on each side of the map for them should be able to secure at least one of them. They do get that second tier top turret. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, we see JWN just pushing that lane out, trying to prevent the minions from pushing it. But because the inhibitor is down, it's going to be passively pushing. That inhibitor turret top lane is just melted right now.
They're just melting these turrets right now. Ganbei actually has bought a Guardian Angel, looking to try and be as big of a threat as he can here. Collateral damage going down. Ganbei going in. Flash coming down for Ponzer just to keep himself alive here. Squishy in a bad situation here. Gets caught out. Hecker manages to pick up the kill on him. Vanishu getting focused on him. Onslaught of Shadows going down. Double kill going down for Hecker.
Not the best person to get those kills on by this point. Hecarim, you want kills on early to snowball, but this is 38 minutes in. He's only 4 and 3 by this point with that double kill. But that is 2 lives for an inhibitor, the second inhibitor most importantly. This is just even more huge map control. It is going to stop that split pushing in its tracks. But meanwhile, you have 2 people just brute forcing this top lane. They hardly even care about the minions by this point. Bruiser tank backing right in the bush next to them, but Ganbei and Junkie should both be able to get this inhibitor down, while looks like Norm is just trying to defend it as much as possible. He hasn't quite had that Lich Bane available. He's sitting on about 1,200 gold, which actually should be more than enough to combine into it by this point. But there should be enough wave clear from the Twisted Fate right now to keep them off that turret, and it looks like they're looking for an engage just to force them back even farther.
Spooky Ghost coming out there, Ganbei able to run away there. Looked like they were going to try to backdoor that Nexus turret, sorry, not Nexus, inhibitor turret if they could, but they knew what was up. Nomad was there ready to take it away, make sure that they couldn't take the turret away from them, and managed to holding that off. Yeah, hold that off safely. Sorry, having a little bit of a brain fart.
Yeah, one thing Nomad has to look for now is just to get that final inhibitor down. They have a lot of map pressure just because of the 2 inhibs down already, but Elite has enough wave clear to deal with it at least until the inhibs respawn. 15 seconds until their middle inhib respawns now. That should at least get a lot of map control back. But now the Dragon is going down to Nomad Gaming. They're second of the game, now with about a 7k gold lead. Again, 39 minutes is not too much, but it is something. And it's definitely something they're rolling with right now. They're picking people off one by one, then they're getting objectives off of that. And that's what's counting for them so far. That turret, 1 Lich Bane proc just killed it.
Yeah, blue carding it just did a huge amount of damage here. I want to point out something real quick because I know a fight's about to start. Ponzer was getting a lot of kills early on, and we didn't notice he picked up a Twin Shadows. Now he has a Leandru, so he's actually opting to build a little bit of AP damage here.
Yeah, again, no ward control. Neither supports this game, even building a normal Sight Stone. They're there for the damage, they're there for the tankiness, and they're there just to be a nuisance and be an actual threat in these fights. And that's exactly what they're doing. Again, no real vision control, but it's working out for. It's at least working out for a Poser tank, of course.
Ganbei actually in a little bit of a tough spot here, gets taunted down. Holy crap, dropping down. Fatishu getting dropped down almost immediately inside of the base. Ganbei in a little bit of trouble here. Poser pop Undying Rage. Guardian Angel goes off now. He's going to drop down really low. Secret to take it down extremely low. We'll get the shutdown onto Secret. Ganbei trying to flash away. We'll be able to pick up the kill. Ponzer tank taking him down here. Now JWN is getting pinched down by Squishy here. Norm picking up the kill. Squishy doing his best to beat a tank for his team here. Junkie realizing he's in trouble, forced to run away here, using that devastating charge to get away. And Voodoo forced to back away from this Nexus. Final Hunt on his way back, try and help clean this up, but the inhibitor does go down once again.
Again, that mid inhibitor finally goes down. Again, 2 of them down by this point. No one really available to continue that push on the bot lane. Both their auto attack heavy champions are gone. Oh, I lied. There's 3 of them. There's Twisted Fate there, but he's the counter jungling the blue buff. He should be able to pick that up right here. He does. And they back off with 2 of their team members dead, but another inhibitor down for them. Elite is going to be very hard pressed just to keep this map pressure back off of them. They've been fighting to actually control themselves the whole game. They haven't been able to do it.
Yeah, they are having a lot of trouble kind of keeping this map pressure. There is pretty much no wards on the map. Almost at all. There's one ward coming out from Nomad Gaming around the red side of the bush, and then there's 2 wards. Nope, now there's 1 ward coming down from ECR on their own blue buff. So very little vision going down on this game. Looks like both teams are really just trying to just focus on damage and do as much damage as they can. Lulu has now picked up a Fiendish Codex, so yeah, definitely going for these more damage oriented builds here. Meanwhile, Tarek is just going straight tank. He has that Aegis of the Legion pumped out for him, and he does have a Ruby Crystal, so I'm anticipating a Sightstone, but it could turn into something else.
It very well could. And one thing you can't really deny when you're looking at team vision is the minion waves themselves. Actually, finally getting jumped on by Bad here, and
Fadasu getting jumped on. Extremely low. Final hour being forced down here. Corrado damage going down, doing a good amount of damage, but the Stand United won't come in. Flash coming down to Squishy, turning down onto JWN. Norm dropping him down, using Wild Growth to keep Norm alive here. Goldoran going down onto Junkie. Junkie getting dropped down very low. Fadasu dropping down to Ganbei. Ganbei doing his best to do as much damage as he can. Exonia's going down from Norm to keep himself alive. Ganbei realizes he's in trouble, running away, or Sigurd trying to catch up to him, using that Sponge, gets that final heart attack. That's an ace, and they're going to be fixing their eyes towards the Nexus.
Yeah, they're ignoring that bottom turret right now. They have super minions coming in very slowly in the mid lane, but they are coming. They will be there in just a minute. Surrender Vote actually failing here for Elite Crew, but this should be the game. Lichbane way too strong to take down these turrets right now. Norm, although he is low health, if you have more than 1 HP, you are ready to go. And they will take down that Nexus. Finally, game 1 of the series goes to Nomad Gaming.
Yeah. We still have 1 more game to go if Nomad wins it, but this is a best of 3, so ECR does have a chance to make it back into this game. We'll be back with game 2 in just a moment, guys.